Hi, welcome to our first virtual crafted home program with Brownsburg Library. Today we are making a modular origami sunflower. Modular origami means that instead of making one piece that you keep folding and folding and folding more intricately and intricately and intricately, you learn to make one easy to make piece, you make a bunch of them, and you put them together to make a really cool thing. So to get started, you will need to have some origami paper, or really any type of paper, but you just need to make sure that we are following certain ratios because we'll have to cut our paper, and a piece of floral wire. Okay, so floral wire is about 12 inches long, 12 to 15 inches long, can be really any gauge you need. The paper that you're using, you'll need a yellow paper for the petals. So I'm using yellow 6-inch origami paper, and you'll need something for the center. So I'm using a 6-inch piece of brown origami paper. So you'll need 6 of these and 1 of these. Now, once you have got your paper, you are going to need to cut it down if you're using the origami paper. If you're just cutting other types of paper, construction paper, wrapping paper, anything else, you just want to cut your paper to the correct ratios. So for a 6-inch square of origami paper, we're going to take the yellow and cut it in half so that you wind up with 12 3 by 6-inch rectangles. Now you're going to have to cut down your brown paper, your center paper, to a little bit more of an unusual ratio. Again, for our 6-inch origami paper, I trimmed off the paper along one side so that it is 4 1/4 inches by 6. If you were going to make this bigger, for example, if you wanted to use 12-inch squares to make a really big sunflower, you would make your paper 12 inches by 8 1/2 instead of the 6 by 4 1/2, but that's the ratio that you want to have for your center. So we're going to go ahead actually and start with one of our petals. So again, when you think of origami, usually you think about taking one big piece of paper and then folding it and folding it and folding it and folding it. We are going to take each of these 12 pieces of paper and do a really simple shape with each of them and then put them together to be really awesome. So this one I have already folded. This is my cheat sheet. So this is how it works. We're going to start with our rectangle colored side up, yellow side up. You're going to fold it in half lengthwise, okay? So just match up those edges, give that crease a nice press. You can use your fingernail. If you've got one of those fancy bone folders, you can use that. If you've got, you know, just whatever you've got around that you can really get a good crease with that. Now we're going to open this back up and we are going to flip it over. The next fold that we are going to make, we're going to take our corners and we're going to align the edge of the corner with that center fold that you just made. So we're just folding that corner in like that, and again, give it a good crease. And we'll do it on the other side as well. Give that side a good crease. We'll do it on the opposite end. So again, fold that corner in, line up that edge with that center fold that you've already made, and then fold in the other corner. So you should wind up with a shape that looks like this. Okay, now the next step, we are going to fold the side in to have this side edge meet that middle crease. Fold that in, line it up, and give it a good smush on the edge. And then we'll spin it around and we'll do it the same way on the other side. So fold that in, make sure you're matching it up to the center, fold it over, and crease it down good. Okay, we are almost done, I promise. This is how easy it is. Now, so you should have a piece that looks like this. Now you are going to turn it over so that your completely flat side is up, and you're just going to fold that guy in half, right along that crease that you made in the first place. Just like that. Do-do-do-do. Now, when we put these together later, we're going to want each of our pieces to be lightly creased in the middle. So go ahead and just fold this right in half like that. Give it a press. Doesn't have to be a real creased down press, but just enough that when we put them together, they kind of slot together nicely. We have one more step for this, and this is kind of optional, but it does give it a nice petal shape at the end. You're going to take the piece of folded paper, and you see where that line comes down here, you're just going to hold it right there, okay? Then you're going to take your finger and stick it right there in the center, just like that, boop, and open that up. So what we are trying to do is just bend the end of this petal open ever so slightly. This does not have to be a real hard fold. Just kind of pinch it a little bit right there in the center. That's what you want it to look like. And then we'll do it on the other end too. So again, we're not doing a real hard crease on this. So just hold it. Let me show you there that way. Hold it right there at that corner where everything meets up. Stick your finger right there in the center to open it up. And then just hold your finger in there, give it a little pinch. Again, just a nice soft fold there. And that's one petal. So again, with modular origami, we get to do this over and over and over, so you get really good at it. So let's make the next one. We'll do that all over again without my cheater piece. So again, start with the colored side up. Or if you're using two-sided paper, it doesn't much matter. Fold it in half. Give it that nice solid crease. Open it back up, flip it over. We're going to fold that corner in so that the edge meets that center crease that you just made. Just like this. And give it a crease. Make it match. I like making the Bob Ross sounds. We'll do the same thing on the other side. Make sure that edge meets up with that center crease right there. Make it match on the other side. Now we'll fold in those side edges, so make this edge meet that center crease right there. Oops. Try not to let it get away from you. Give it that nice hard crease. Spin it around and do the same thing on the other edge. Okay, I'll flip it back over so that the part that doesn't have any of the folded edges on it is up, and we'll just fold that in half again. And if you accidentally try and pull that paper out, you just stick it back in, it's no big deal. Now we're going to give it that halfway fold, so bring the point to the point. And just crease that down lightly in the center. And if it wants to walk up on you, that's okay. This part is, like I said, not a real hard fold necessarily. Now we're going to do that last little petal trick. So we're going to grip it one more time right there at that corner where everything meets. And you're going to stick your finger right there in the center. And while your finger is holding it, you're just going to give it a little pinch right there. Might want to fold it down just a touch. And it gives it that nice petal shape. We'll do the same thing on the other side. Pinch it at that corner. Stick your finger inside. Hold it, fold it, and pinch it. All right, so we're going to do this. We've got 2. We're going to do this for the next 10 pieces, okay? Oh, my fingers are getting tired. One more. And depending on how you like to work, you don't have to necessarily do the full fold for each piece. You could line them up kind of assembly line style, do all your center folds, do all your corners, come back and do all of your side folds, come back and do all of your half folds and do all your petals. Whatever works for you. But like I said, with modular origami, you make one simple piece and you do it over and over and over so you get really, really good at it. Almost there. And this is actually called a petal fold. And you can make other kinds of flowers with it as well. You can make lotuses, you can make just all kinds of fun things. But since it's summer, I thought a sunflower would be lovely. All right, there's our last one. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, now for the center of the sunflower. This is where we're going to go back to that piece of brown origami paper or whatever type of paper you're using. And just as a reminder, if you're working with the 6-inch square, like comes in the origami package, you need to trim it down to 4 1/4 by 6, or whatever that ratio is for the size paper you want to work with. So that could be 8 1/2 by 12, that could be 2 1/8 by 3, whatever size you are working with is what we are going to be doing. So the first thing we're going to do is take that paper back side up, if you've got 2 sides to it, and we're going to fold it in half. Just like so. Give it a good crease. Now we're going to open that back up. And we are going to fold again into the center. So we're going to take the edge and make it meet that center fold that we just made. And give it a good crease. And we'll spin it around and we'll do the same thing with the other side. Make the edge meet the center. And give it a good crease. All right, now we're going to orient it lengthwise, and we're going to open up one side to start with. We'll come back to that fold, but for right now, we're going to start here. I'm just going to give my paper one more good solid crease. There we go. All right, now this is going to be the trickiest fold of the entire project, but I promise this is the trickiest fold. So what we're going to do is make this corner line up with this center line, but also forming a straight line back to this point here where we made that fold, okay? So what I do, I put my fingernail right there at that fold so I know where my fold needs to end, and I'm gonna fold that corner forward until I get to that center line. And then I'm going to, oops, and I lost my fold, that's okay. I lost my line just a little bit. That's all right, just go back and redo it. And press that down. Give that a nice, good crease. So again, to review, we're taking this corner, we're folding it into this center line, and we're doing it so that this edge ends where this folds, okay? That's the hardest thing we're going to do, trust me. All right, so the next step, we're going to take this same point and we're going to fold it up to meet the corner that we just put in the center, okay? Give that a good crease. So this is what we should have. So again, to review, we've left this side open, this side folded in. We're taking this point, taking it to the center, making sure that this top edge ends where that fold is at the top. Fold number 1. Fold number 2 is taking that point and folding it down to meet our first corner right there, okay? So as you can start to see, we're trying to get to a hexagon, okay? So our next fold is going to be to take this side piece and fold it back in. This piece right here is actually folded the wrong way, so you're going to have to kind of massage it a little bit. But it'll go, I promise. And what's really cool is that as you fold this in, it should, if the stars are lined up right and we made our folds correctly, it should pretty much meet the center. Okay, clearly I got mine a little bit off. And if you're not really happy with that, you can kind of finesse it just a little bit. There we go. See, there are no mistakes. So this is what we should wind up with. Okay, so our next fold, we're going to bring the whole tail back up across the hexagon, okay? So what we're trying to do is make this edge line up with that fold right there, like so. It really is like magic. Do-do-do-do. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 edges to our hexagon. Now we're going to take this side piece, which wants to fold this way, but we're going to fold it against itself forward, like this. So this piece was like this, and we're folding it forward like that, okay? So we still have this little tail. We're almost done, I promise. So here's how we're going to deal with that tail. We're going to flip this around. And we're just going to fold this tail up against this edge right here. Just a fold like that. This is not where we're leaving it, but that's what gives us the fold that we need to finish the hexagon on the other side. So unfold that, flip it back over. So again, those last couple of folds, we went from this guy, and then we fold the entire tail across, we fold the side in, we flip it over, and we fold that tail up to match this edge. So this is where we are. Now, let that kind of loosen up a little bit. You'll see you've got kind of a pocket right in there. You're going to take this tail, fold it under, and slide it into that pocket. Choop. And you've got a hexagon. This is our flower center. Okay, now it is time to make the sunflower. This is where we take all of our modules and put them together. So we're going to get all of our petals back. We've got our center already folded, and now we need our piece of floral wire. So the floral wire, we're just going to bend it in half and give it a little crease in the center. Doesn't have to be perfect, doesn't have to be exact. But this is how we're going to hold together all these petals and attach the center. Now, which way we stick the floral wire into the center to create the stem for our flower, it depends on what you like. If you like this folded edge better, and that's what you want to be on the outside of your flower, we are going to take our bent floral wire and push it through the center of the hexagon this way. You can even try and bury it a little bit under those folds if you don't want to see that little tiny piece of floral wire sticking out at the top. If you prefer the flat side, then we're going to go this way. But there's no good way to hide that floral wire if you do it this way. I personally like the origami look. I put some time into making this as an origami piece, so I want it to show. So what you want to do, you want to make sure that you put one piece of floral wire in, and this paper is pretty thin, so even though this wire is soft, it should go through pretty easily. But of course, if it doesn't, because I'm trying to demonstrate this, you could get a toothpick or a straight pin or anything you needed to make that go through. There we go. And then we're going to take the other end and push it through ever so slightly next to that first wire, because otherwise you have them both going through the same hole and it doesn't hold anything. Reality, even in the virtual world. Oh, the stinker. Let's see. I may have to get a pin. I'm going to use my Years of Library Service pin to create a pilot hole here. There we go, and that's where we'll stick our floral wire through. There we go. So we have two ends, and we're just going to pull that all the way through. And hopefully you don't wind up with a twist in your wire like I did. And kind of flatten that out on the front, and then you can give that wire a little bit of a twist at the back just to anchor that in place. Okay, now to assemble the petals of our sunflower. So you'll notice I've taken all of our 12 petals and I've divided them into two groups. There's 6 that are kind of bent this way and 6 that are kind of bent this way. We're going to get them all gathered together. Now, one of the challenges with modular origami is that you have a whole bunch of moving pieces that you have to try and keep together while you do the final assembly. I'm going to use a paper clip to help hold together one half once I get it assembled so that I can get it joined with the second half and then get it all joined up with the center of the flower. If you have a paper clip, a clothespin, just an extra pair of hands, someone else who's helping you, that works too. All right, so first of all, very important, make sure that all your petals are pointing the same direction. So you don't have any that are with the bottom side up, you want them all top side up. Trust me, I have already refilmed this segment twice because I screwed that up. I screw up so you don't have to. The other thing that you might want to do if you did a really big dramatic petal fold here at the end, you might want to squish those down just a little bit. We can fluff them out once we've made the flower complete. So we're going to take the first 6 and just stack them up on that center fold. Just like that. Pinch, pinch, pinch. Pinch right there along the center. Like I said, make sure that all your petals are facing the same way, that you don't have one that's goofy and going the wrong way. Unless you happen to like that look, and that's perfectly fine. Everyone's got a different aesthetic. Okay, so I've got all 6 of those petals pinched together, and I'm just going to take my paper clip and hold that in place. And I'm going to do the same thing over here. I think it's easier to start with the one that you're going to hold centermost and build around it rather than trying to push the pieces into the center of another one. This is easier to control, in my opinion. Again, make sure you've got all your petals facing the same way. Now that we've got these 6 and these 6, we're just going to take those 2 centers and kind of hold them together. Although what we do want to do is find that middle, like that. This is where having another pair of hands can get helpful. Take that off. All right, there we go. So I've got this. I'm going to find my middle. Oops, that was not my middle. So there's my middle. And I'm just going to put them together. You see how that goes? And then I'm going to very dexterously catch all of them together. Now I'm going to take my sunflower center with my wire. I'm going to open those wires up just a little bit, and I'm going to wrap them around the center of my flower. Also, once again, make sure you're putting the center of your flower on the front of your flower, not on the back. I screw up so you don't have to. But if you can see, I'm just going to, there we go, pull that up as tight as I can against the petals. And then I'm just going to give those a twist while I'm still holding those petals pinched in the center. Just twist that up nice and tight. Then we're just going to come to the center, or come to the front. And again, where I was holding those pinches open a little bit, I'm going to go and pinch them back together a little. It might be easier to see on the back here. So I'm just going to pinch those together and then pinch the next pair together And the next pair, we've done a lot of opening and closing and opening and closing. We just want to get it nice and evenly distributed. And then again, if you want to go back through and fluff out any of those petal folds at the end, that's just a quick turn around your sunflower. I've lost track of where I was, but I think I have gotten to all of them. And there you have it, an origami sunflower. Thank you so much for joining us.